Good morning. I'm Ellen McSherry, the Chief Operating Officer at the NJCPA. CPA. Welcome to IssuesWatch. I'm joined today by Ralph Thomas, the Executive Director and CEO of the NJCPA, and Sarah Krom, the 2018-19 President of the NJCPA and Managing Partner of SKC and co-CPAs. We are broadcasting live on September 28th, and we will be airing 2 replays of the broadcast. If you have a colleague who wasn't able to attend the live broadcast today, the dates and times and registration information for the replays are displayed on your screen. If you have any questions at all at any point during the broadcast, we invite you to submit them in the questions box or tweet them to us using #IssuesWatch. We will try to address questions submitted throughout the live broadcast at the end of the program. Questions submitted during a replay will be answered within 24 hours of that replay. Okay, so for today's agenda, we're going to be dealing with New Jersey issues and update. We have a lot going on with New Jersey. We'll be focusing on tax changes that were part of the New Jersey budget, the Path to Progress report, and pending legislation. On the national front, we'll be talking about recent guidance on implementing tax reform measures and other national issues that are affecting CPAs. Then we'll conclude with NJCPA updates, feedback from member visits, new CPA programs and services. So now on to the New Jersey section. So we're going to start off with taxes first. And Sarah, I'm sure in your capacity at your firm, you're dealing a lot with the new tax implications, and specifically in New Jersey. What are some of those, and what are you telling your clients?
We are, yeah, absolutely. There's so much to cover actually just on the New Jersey section, and this is just going to be an overview of some of the things, and more details and resources will be available on the links on your screen. But to start with, on the individual side, the Earned Income Tax Credit increased to 37% for tax year 2018. The property tax deduction increased from $10,000 to $15,000. This is for New Jersey only, not federal. There's a new child and dependent care credit, and there's a new 10.75% tax rate for income of more than $5 million. Not part of this particular budget, but part of the Transportation Trust Fund bill that was passed 2 years ago, the net increase for the retirement income exclusion goes into effect on January 1st. Something that's been in the news a lot lately is property tax payments as charitable contributions. The IRS has come out and said that you can only deduct the portion that is not credited to your property taxes. New Jersey is still moving forward, and rules were implemented this week allowing towns to accept some payments as charitable donations. We will make sure that you are aware, and we will encourage you to make sure that your clients are aware of new things to come on this. Switching gears and talking about New Jersey taxes on the business side, online sellers outside of New Jersey who meet certain requirements would have to collect and remit New Jersey sales tax. Legislation has passed Assembly and Senate committees. Rentals of transient accommodations, such as vacation home rentals, in New Jersey are subject to sales tax starting October 1st. And there's a new surcharge on prearranged ride services, such as Uber and Lyft, that went into effect on July 1st. The new tax amnesty for New Jersey has limited details available right now. The eligible period for tax returns are February 1st, 2009 through September 1st, 2017, and those are the due date periods. This will begin sometime after November 1st and will conclude no later than January 15th. We'll bring you more information on this as we uncover it.
Thanks, Sarah.
Sure.
So Ralph, you've had the opportunity to work closely with several of our New Jersey legislators, in particular Senate President Sweeney. I think that's given us the opportunity, us being the CPA Society, to really start to have an impact on what is going on in the state. So I think it's exciting for our members to hear about that and some of the things that you have to tell them.
Sure. Needless to say, the whole budget process was an interesting phenomenon. Luckily, we did not have to shut down the state, as has happened previously, because of various disagreements in the legislature. But when the budget was finally passed, we went out to our members to ask them about the impact they thought that New Jersey's budget would have on the state's economy over a long term. And we got some, I think, interesting results. More than 75% said it would have a negative impact. 14% said it would probably stay the same. And only about 10% said it would get better. And then as a result of the budget, the Senate President pulled together a group he called the Economic and Fiscal Policy Working Group. And it was created by the Senate President. It was co-chaired by Senator Paul Sarlo and Senator Steve Oroho and Assemblyman Louis Greenwald. So it had bipartisan support, representatives from all over. And then there were other state senators and assembly men and women who also participated. The efforts of the group were focused on 5 areas. No surprise, pension and pension reform was one area. Education reform at the administrative level. County and municipal government reform and shared services, state and local government tax structure, and leveraging assets to help stabilize the pension system. This committee started meeting in the latter part of January and went all the way through to August, and when a report was produced. So some of the interesting recommendations that came out, I'll talk about a little bit, but there were over 200 initial recommendations made, and those were culled down to about 50 recommendations, which appeared in the report that called Progress to Pass, or for President. So we asked members to rate the potential positive impacts relative to the tax segment of the report, and that's the committee that I was on, along with a number of other people. And so let me give you some of the results. The 3 highest ranked issues were focusing additional tax incentives towards small businesses to support more entrepreneurs. And I'm really happy at this because the initial report or recommendations didn't have that, and that is something that our members have always been talking about, the fact that we have over 350,000 small businesses here in New Jersey, and they're already here, so we needed to do something for them. And certainly they didn't get anything in the federal tax reform package. And for the last couple of years, there haven't been any real initiatives that have incentivized them to stay in New Jersey, expand their footprint in New Jersey. The second item that people reflected on was revise New Jersey's property tax relief program to ensure that relief is provided equitably. And then the third one was something that was really interesting, was enabling S corporations, LLCs, and partnerships to pay property taxes equivalent to the gross income tax obligation of their owners and partners, which would make state tax payments deductible on federal taxes. You know, that was a big issue when the tax reform package came out in December, the fact that, you know, SALT taxes were capped at $10,000. So now I'd like to move and talk about what's happening now in New Jersey. And we've had a lot of activity as recently as yesterday. So combined reporting has been one issue that's been out and for discussion. We formed a state tax task force that provided recommendations to the Senate President, and then a bill was drafted with our recommendations, and it was introduced on September 14th. Other pending legislation, an amended version of the bill, amended version of the combined reporting bill was passed yesterday on September 27th. We're currently looking at that and looking at what were the changes, but I can say that the bill that we initially were given and changes were made over this past weekend that made the bill something that we just couldn't support, and we think that is problematic. The society and other business groups are opposed to the amended bill and are urging the governor to veto it. So we'll see what happens later. And I would say stay tuned because the amendments have not been summarized. So we're waiting to get those, and once they're summarized, we'll be putting that information out for our members in that regard. There was a bill to update New Jersey's accountancy statute to conform it to the Uniform Accountancy Act. This bill was introduced in the previous session and did not go through to the next level. So fortunately, the bill has passed committee on September 13th, and it is currently, I believe it moved yesterday. So that was great to hear that, and we're looking forward to that because that's going to help our members in terms of being the statute being up to date, and it eliminates confusion, if you will, by not having it moving through. There was a bill that we really have been paying a lot of attention to, and that's the bill related to the Internal Revenue Code, Section 1202, the capital gains tax breaks on the state level to promote investment in startup companies. We want to give a shout out to one of our members, Sean Scudolero, who, for all intents and purposes, really drafted the bill for legislators. And this is a great thing when our members are able to get involved and bring their expertise to the table. And I think the legislators were so appreciative of this. This bill passed out of committee of the Senate and Budget Appropriations Committee on September 13th. And it is going, it went up yesterday on the 27th, and we believe the bill passed, yes. So we're very happy at that. Hopefully it'll move over to the lower house and get attention there, and it will become law. We're hopeful that the governor will sign it. There was a pass-through Business Alternative Tax Act, and again, one of our members, Alan Sobel, and I know if Alan's listening, he's probably saying, Ralph, please don't call it the Sobel bill. But in fact, it really has been referred to as the Sobel bill. And it was, recommendations were provided to Senator Sweeney to draft a bill, and that is currently in the works. So again, I can't emphasize enough the importance of our members reaching out, bringing ideas to the table. In this, going back to the Sobel bill, Alan wrote an open letter to the governor, and the governor passed it down to various folks in the Office of Legislative Services, and the bill is moving now. So again, if you've got some great ideas for our members out there, don't be hesitant about writing a letter, not only to the society, but to the legislators and to the lawmakers so that they can be privy to that. You never know what may happen. So.
Well, thank you, Ralph. That certainly was a lot. We have so much going on in New Jersey. And truly, kudos to you and the rest of the staff and to our members who have spent so much time down in Trenton, especially the last 6 months.
We really have to do a big shout out to those who've been participating on our task force. I mean, they take away time from their businesses to provide input, and it's really appreciated by lawmakers. I think the Senate President continues to, bring the society up, and when he's talking about when they're looking at public policy, that they use us to get a pulse read on that. So again, great opportunity for our members to get engaged and get involved and make a contribution, and more importantly, to have an impact on what's happening down in Trenton.
And the importance of our members participating in the various polls that we put out, because
absolutely,
the legislators are listening.
Yeah, in fact, they many times reach out to us and ask if we can do some polls so that they can get a sense of what has been happening. My favorite line is that if you want to know what's happening in New Jersey, what better way to find out by touching base with the CPAs who pretty much touch every taxpayer or business constituency here in New Jersey.
That's true. Thanks again, Ralph. So Sarah, seeing our last Issues Watch live down in Atlantic City, it seemed you were dubbed the cannabis queen.
It does seem that way, doesn't it?
I'm going to ask you to continue and bring us up to date what is going on with cannabis in New Jersey, if anything.
Sure, absolutely. Even as recent as yesterday, Senate President Sweeney came out and said that he wants there to be a law by October 29th. So he set that firm date. So right now we have the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Act. That bill is expected to come through any day. It calls for a 10% tax rate with related purchases, and it also establishes a Cannabis Regulatory Commission. Now, it's important to remember that it could take up for a year for businesses to be up and running even after this law passes. On the NJCPA side, we have the NJCPA Cannabis Interest Group, and they're drafting a position statement for the State Board of Accountancy. We have to do a shout out to a member, Stacy Udell. She's the leader of our cannabis interest group, and she's been doing a tremendous amount to help get the group off the ground and really bring education to our members. There is an upcoming NJCPA webinar series. You can see that information on your screen now. So we just encourage everybody to keep learning about it. We'll keep informing you as things come through the legislature, and then we find out more information and we can disseminate that to you as well. Switching gears a little bit to talk about unclaimed property in New Jersey. There is a change to what we all have known previously with the New Jersey unclaimed property filing. The reports are still due on October 31st, but the requirement to file a negative report is now just a suggestion rather than a requirement. So it's important that we note that for you guys.
Thanks, Sarah.
You're welcome.
So to help keep you update on New Jersey issues, things that similar to what we just talked about, I believe we have an exciting announcement. So we're going to go to the video and go for the announcement.
Hello everyone, I'm Jeff Kazerman, Vice President of Government Relations at the New Jersey Society of CPAs, and I have some exciting news. On October 9th, we'll be launching the NJCPA's IssuesWatch podcast, which will discuss important developments in the New Jersey legislature that have an impact on CPAs and the business community. We'll be bringing you new episodes every 2 weeks to keep you up to date on all the pressing issues. And we'll try to keep them under 10 minutes so you can listen to them over breakfast, on your commute, at your desk, or wherever you want to take a break and stay informed. Visit njcpa.org/issueswatch or check your email soon for instructions on how to subscribe to our free podcasts so that all of our episodes will be delivered right to you as they are released. And then listen in starting on October 9th and every other Tuesday after that. Thanks.
Well, that was great. I know we're all looking forward to hearing Jeff on a bi-weekly basis. And again, he's down in Trenton all the time. He has his pulse on what's going on, so stay tuned. Don't forget to vote, very important, on Tuesday, November 6th. Before we move on to the national issues, Ralph has just a slight amendment that he wants to make.
Yeah, a correction on one of the items related to the path to progress when I was talking about the S Corp and LLCs and partnerships paying, I said property taxes, I guess, as opposed to state taxes. So just want to correct that for our viewers out there so that there's no confusion or about, really? Okay, thanks.
No, that's great, Ralph. Thank you. So we do have a few things on the national level, certainly not the gamut that we ran on the New Jersey side. I'm asked Sarah to start us off anyways on national.
Sure, absolutely. Just like New Jersey, there's a lot to cover. Most of it is outside the scope of this broadcast, so this will just be an overview of what's available, and there's more resources that will come up on your screen as we go through. So with respect to the TCJA provisions, the Section 199A regulations allows many owners of sole proprietorships, partnerships, trusts, and S-Corps to deduct 20% of their qualified business income. And this is available for tax years beginning after December 31st, 2017. The 100% depreciation deduction allows businesses to write off most depreciable business assets in the year that they're placed into service. The small businesses with average annual gross receipts of $25 million or less in the prior 3-year period can now switch to the cash method of accounting. Employer payments or reimbursements in 2018 for employees' moving expenses incurred prior to 2018 are not subject to federal income or employment taxes. Also, eligible employers who provide paid family and medical leave to employees may qualify for a new business tax credit for years 2018 and 2019. This just came down yesterday. Tax Reform 2.0 bills, which we're calling them cleanup bills, so to speak. The Family Savings Act, which would repeal the maximum age for IRA contributions, create universal savings accounts, and expand Section 529 education accounts. That just passed the House yesterday. Also, the American Innovation Act would expand the deduction for startup expenses, and that also just passed the House yesterday. And then a third bill that would make the temporary individual provisions of the TCJA permanent is expected to be considered by the House today.
Wow, a lot going on there also.
There is.
And keeping with tax, Ralph, let's talk a little bit about underreporting.
Yeah, as you all know, in December on 22nd, President Trump signed in the tax reform measures. And one of the things that was incorporated in that was a restructure, if you will, of the withholdings. And so just in July, GAO issued a report stating that they felt 21% of taxpayers, 30 million people, are being under withheld. And so we reacted to that. We asked our members whether their clients are being under withheld. And what we found out was that less than half of clients that they had reviewed or updated their withholdings. More than 48% of the respondents said that half or more of their clients will probably owe money due to being under withheld. So I'm sure that most people won't be very happy to get that surprise. So the message here is that time is running out, but adjustments to withholdings can still be made for the remaining part of 2018. And I want to say, I went in and I adjusted my withholdings to make sure that I don't have a surprise come April 15th, 2019. So if I could do it, everybody else should try to go out and do the same thing.
I'm hoping for no surprises. I'm thinking I'm okay, but we'll see. So we talked a lot about taxes. We do have some things going on the accounting side, accounting and auditing. So Sarah, I'm going to ask you to handle that part.
Okay, yeah, we can't forget about our A&A friends out there. So we do have lease accounting. We've been talking about it for quite some time now, and it establishes a right-to-use model and brings operating leases onto the balance sheet. It's effective for public entities for annual periods beginning after December 15th, 2018, and effective for non-public entities with annual reporting periods after December 15th, 2019. FASB recently issued some targeted improvements to the lease standard, and you can visit the link that's popping up on your screen for some additional updates.
Thanks, Sarah.
Sure.
You know, those are just good, not that they were new, just
Right.
good reminders.
Yes, and again, we can't forget our A&A friends.
No, we cannot.
And we also can't forget our folks in business and industry too, because this is
Really?
also, you know, when we talk about things of this nature, one of the big concerns is that companies aren't reacting quick enough, and they have the opportunity in a lot of instances to early adopt. And so it could be a real catastrophe if they wait till the last minute, the 11th hour, to do these changes on the lease accounting side. Yep.
Well, data security is another area that's very important, and Ralph, bring us up to date.
Yeah, as we know that over the years, there have been a tremendous amount of problems with people's tax returns being falsified or hacked or anything. So IRS has done a couple of things to protect taxpayer data. The format of IRS transcripts has changed on September 23rd. There are also some new processes for requesting transcripts. And you can read more at the link on your screen about the kinds of changes that are taking place. Also, we want to remind our members about the data security requirements. There are data security requirements for all tax preparers. FTC found that less than half of tax professionals are aware of these rules. And again, you can read more about this on the link on your screen and make sure that you're in compliance.
Thanks.
One of the other things, I guess, in switching, but also on the national scene, that we've been seeing a lot of activity across the country regarding occupational and professional license reform. In particular, my counterpart in Louisiana has been really fighting this. And this activity would ease licensing requirements from some occupations, and it could adversely affect our members or CPAs regarding mobility and moving and working from state to state. So there's a proposal that would create an 18-month temporary license for applicants waiting occupational and professional licenses, and this could include CPAs as well. AICPA and state societies, we're very concerned about that, and so we're monitoring the situation across the country. Currently, we haven't seen activity in New Jersey because I guess they're busy with other things like how to raise additional revenue. but that could come on the forefront very soon. So we'll be make sure that we're monitoring that, and stay tuned to see what happens in that regard.
Thanks, Ralph. Before we move on to the CPA exam, we did get one question from a viewer so far. Question is, the NJCPA officially in favor of legalized recreational marijuana use in New Jersey? Was there a poll of the members to see if the majority of members support this significant public policy shift? Well, the NJCPA has not taken a position. We are providing resources to our members that they can use in whatever capacity they see so fit. We did do a poll asking generally if members are in favor of legalizing recreational marijuana. So we did take that poll.
Yeah, and the other thing that we're doing on that front too is we're working with the State Board of Accountancy to make sure that our members who are looking to service companies in that industry aren't negatively impacted, because again, marijuana is banned on the federal level. So there are a lot of rules and regulations that you have to be aware of. So we have one of our members from the Cannabis Interest Group has drafted a statement for consideration by the State Board of Accountancy. So we'll be getting that off, because there have been a number of questions that have been posed to the board, and our members really haven't gotten good answers back from them. So we really want to work on that.
Tread lightly initially.
Yeah.
And many other states have issued positions, their state boards have.
Absolutely. So we're hoping that New Jersey will come in line, so to speak, with what other states are doing, so that members will be aware, because this is such a complex industry to work in because of the rules and regulations. And so the last thing I think our CPAs want to do is not do the right thing and get themselves in trouble.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And thank you for the question. Ralph, let's talk a little bit about the CPA exam and what's going on with that.
Yeah, over the past couple of years, there have been some significant changes to the CPA exam. Most notably in 2017, there was a significant change, moving away from the multiple, having as many multiple choice questions to more of what they call test-based simulations. And this move was the result of trying to test people's critical thinking skills, their evaluation skills, and more of that. In 2018, we had a change with the introduction of an Excel spreadsheet as part of the exam. I think we'll see more changes, particularly with the onslaught of technology. So we just want our members to be aware of that for their staff who haven't taken the exam, that they may want to take it before these changes come in and get it out of the way. But the other thing too, we wanted to point out that as a result of the previous changes, there was an uptick in people taking the exam before the changes came in, and as expected, there was a downturn in the number of people taking exams after these changes were implemented. So there's still not, we're not too concerned, but we still, kind of pause and wonder, what future changes to the exam, what kind of impact that will have on folks taking the exam. So I guess the best thing to say is encourage your staff who haven't taken the exam to get it out of the way. As you're bringing on new staff, encourage them to perhaps take the exam before they start working in the firm. And I can have a personal testimony to that it was very difficult to study and work and pass the exam at the same time. So encouraging that. One other thing that we want to bring to the attention is that is with the introduction of Excel, we have formed a partnership with CPA Crossings to provide free Excel online training for students. So that's something that we found, and Sarah will talk a little bit more about that when she talks about the firm visits of why we, and it'll kind of tie together why we launched this initiative to help students out there.
Okay, thanks, Ralph. We did have another question, and I'm not sure that if either one of you know this, and if not, we'll get the answer. My question is on short-term rentals, which starts October 1st. If an owner rents property for the next year prior to October 1st, 2018, will the owner be required to charge sales tax on the rental price?
That's a good question, and we'll have to find the answer out on that as we go back and look at the legislation to see how that falls out. But that's something we'll get an answer to that, and we'll post it out.
Good deal. So we're going to move on to the New Jersey NJCPA update section now. Sarah's been really busy traveling throughout the state, trying to meet as many of our members as possible. So Sarah, fill us in about some of the things. What have you been doing? Where have you been going? What are you hearing?
I've been driving a lot.
I bet, I bet. And
So
New Jersey's a small state.
It is.
You've gotten to know New Jersey a little bit, huh?
Oh, well, parts I didn't even know existed, and I've lived here my whole life. No, Ellen, it's true. I have one of the privileges I get to participate in is Ralph and I do firm visits with a lot of the larger firms in the area in New Jersey. And I've also, something that's new this year is we've done small group conversations with solo and small practitioners, just so that we can get an audience with them and understand what's keeping them up at night and what their concerns are. And it's really been a fascinating experience to listen to firms of all sizes and managing partners and sole practitioners and hear what their concerns are. So some of the things that I am hearing, there has been some consistency and some trends, are really a lot of staff skills, which Ralph, I think, talks a lot to what you said with the Excel skills and the relationship with CPA Crossing. The staff skills that we're seeing shortages of coming out of school are really communication, both written and verbal, Excel, and then the ability to think like a business analyst and not just like a regular by-the-book accountant. There's concern among firms of being able to stay competitive, with what's happening in New Jersey and the economy. There's concerns that, if it's not pro-business, will they have a large pool of clients to grow from and to pull from? There's concern over career awareness and specifically building the brand of the CPA license and maintaining interest in that for the upcoming generations that are entering the workforce and that are graduating with accounting degrees. Succession planning is something that I'm hearing predominantly from the smaller and sole practitioners. There's desire to develop leaders from within. There's some conversations around mergers and acquisitions. And then also something that the NJCPA could potentially provide, which is the ability to provide a conglomerate of services for business firm administration. So things like marketing, IT support, talent acquisition, and the smaller and the sole practitioners are really looking for that from perhaps the state society. Again, I touched on the impact of legislation in New Jersey and how that affects the business environment. There seems to be a shortage across the state of any seniors with 5 to 7 years of experience. So every firm that we've talked to across the board, no matter where in New Jersey they are or what size, is really looking for seniors with 5 to 7 years experience, and in many cases more than one of them. So the concern again, Ralph, about the CPA exam, how do we inspire and encourage our graduates to sit for and pass the exam? There seems to be some procrastination going on with the flexibility around when you can sit for the exam. And then finally there's concern over artificial intelligence, and at the smaller firm level, how does implementing that into their audit engagements impact their practices, and what does that look like? So Ellen, the NJCPA has taken a lot of steps in response to the things that we've been hearing so far. There are still available seats for the remaining Dine and Connect sessions, so you'll see that info popping up on your screen now. So please reach out, check the website, and these are the dates that are scheduled so far. I'd love to hear from you and understand more of how the State Society can help and support you as members. We're working with several providers at the NJCPA to bring services to the members in the areas of marketing, technology, HR, and succession planning. We're focusing specifically in the November-December issue of the NJCPA magazine on content and resources for small firms. And then also in the beginning of 2019, there'll be a webinar series dedicated solely to the small and sole practitioner firms. If you look at our website, there's a new section for career resources. The sections cover each individual career stage, from student to early career to manager, director, and then executive. So check that out. Information's popping up on your screen now. And then finally, we're also working on launching an internship job board to connect small firms with college accounting students. So Ellen, everyone's been pretty busy. The staff here has been terrific putting all of this together and responding quickly to the things that we're hearing while we're doing our road show, so to speak. So kudos to everybody, and we look forward to hearing from all of the members so that we can continue to provide those services.
We appreciate you.
And I was going to say kudos to you, Sarah, for the commitment that you've made in going around and traveling around the state, even though it is a dense state and dense in terms of geographical. It's still, you know, there are pockets of New Jersey that you just don't know that exist unless you go through there.
Well, sometimes it
Yeah.
takes hours just to get out of North Jersey with the traffic.
I know,
so.
I know. But also, yesterday at our board meeting, we devoted a significant segment of the board meeting to talking about small firms and the things that we could do. So we're excited about looking forward to bringing more resources and assistance to our small firms. After all, we have over 4,200 firms in New Jersey, which is a large number for a state our size.
Right,
So.
absolutely.
Well, thank you, Sarah. Ralph, before we move on, we do have another question that came in. The AICPA has expressed support for legislation that would regulate tax return preparers. Won't that bring on more regulation for CPAs?
Well, I'm trying to understand the question. You know, there was the big issue several years ago where, you know, you started to register and get a P10, and that was something that IRS had done. I think, and I'm trying from the AICPA standpoint, they certainly have tried to establish guidelines for tax preparers to follow, sort of a pseudo code of conduct and how they should function. But I don't see that the problem. Again, the question was.
Well, won't that bring on more regulation for CPAs if the AICPA has expressed support for legislation that would regulate tax return preparers? I mean, I guess maybe what the question is, they've been doing a lot with regulating tax return preparers who can prepare, and then
Right.
the CPAs would come under those same regulations, but I would think that they probably are now.
They probably, I think they are now. I think the concern is that group of tax preparers that aren't licensed and aren't regulated, that they want to make sure that, you know, that folks aren't getting, you know, bad work out there. So I think that's the focus. So hopefully our CPAs are doing the right thing and are adhering to some of the standards that are already set in that regard. I know, again, referring back to the P10 initiative, AICPA and state societies were actively involved in terms of tweaking some of the things that IRS was attempting to do. I think the big focus, not to shift, but from IRS standpoint is, I know AICPA and the profession has been very, very concerned about the budget of IRS being cut and the impact that has had on tax preparers in terms of their ability to get access and get things accomplished in a timely fashion. So that's where a lot of the focus from AICPA and the profession has been here recently.
One other question. What can a small practitioner or someone in industry do to prepare themselves or their business for emerging technologies such as blockchain and artificial intelligence? Well, one of the best things I think one can do is we have an emerging technologies interest group, and that doesn't mean you need to be knowledgeable at all on AI or blockchain or any of the other emerging technologies, but you come to those interest groups to learn, and the people who are leading them are very knowledgeable and want to be able to share that knowledge. And that interest group has expanded to well over 100 people right now. We are putting on some different types of seminars that will be coming up on that.
Yes, and also AICPA is working on an initiative along with some of the major firm group and the G400 group and other firms to help smaller firms address the technology issue. So I think we'll probably hear some more information about that at the upcoming fall council meeting, and as to time frames or rolling that out and making and what will be available to smaller practitioners. So stay tuned.
Right.
One more.
Thanks, Ralph. Hopefully that answered your question. So we're moving on now. Ralph is going to cover what we've had an exciting opportunity to partner in putting together a property tax guide. So.
Sure. You know, property taxes is the talk of the day here in New Jersey. So one of the things that we thought made a lot of sense was to put together a property tax guide so that the citizens of New Jersey could be knowledgeable about what goes into their property taxes, how it's computed and everything. A similar initiative was done out on the West Coast, and I think it was very well received. So we, to your point, Ellen, we partnered with some of our sponsors to help us put this property tax guide out. We'll be launching it on October 9th and releasing the New Jersey Homeowner's Guide to Property Taxes. And we're hopeful that this will help residents understand how their property taxes are determined and where the money goes, because there's always that big question, you know, how much goes to education and how are we positioned versus the national average in terms of property taxes. So this guide, I think, will help educate a lot of people, and hopefully as we try to do something about property taxes here in New Jersey, by citizens being more informed, the right decisions can be made, or the right questions asked as well.
Right. Thank you, Ralph. We have one more question that came in. It's for Sarah. What can female CPAs do to achieve the level of success that you have achieved?
Oh, well, that's a lovely question and flattering. I think the first thing that comes to mind when I hear something like that is find a mentor. I think that in anything, and I'll keep this to strictly talking about the professional side of things, in anything that we do that we want to get better at, we can't really ever do it alone. So lots of things take a large support system, and I think the first way to do that and to build that support system for yourself is to find a mentor that really is somebody, could be in your organization, could be outside of your organization, but someone that you trust and have a really solid relationship with, who you respect how their career path went, and learn and bounce ideas and sharings from them. We do have the Women's Leadership Forum here at the State Society. It's a new interest group that we've started. I think that would be a really great area to get involved in. We have an event coming up in 2 different locations. The second week in October, I think it's
the 16th and
17th
if I believe.
Yeah,
So
one is in New Brunswick, and one is in
Roseland. So geographically, I think we're spread out really well to handle that. That would be a really great opportunity to come out and meet people. You know, for me personally, it's been hard work. It's been saying yes to everything so that you get the experience and you put yourself out of your comfort zone, and that's where really the most growth and, for me, satisfaction happens. But I'm happy to field that question, and I will be at the Roseland event for the Women's Leadership Group, and I'm happy if somebody's available to come to that and talk more with me, I'll be there then.
Worth taking advantage of.
And the great thing about this initiative is that it was brought to our attention by our female members, some of our seasoned female members who said they wanted to give back and help those that were coming after them. And so I think that's a great thing. And so they're ready and geared up to be mentor other women who are looking to advance their careers. So
that's an important fact that you brought up, Ralph. And the Women's Leadership Forum is not. It's a mix. It's a mix of more seasoned women and women just starting off in their career.
Absolutely.
And each one of them gets something different from the group. So I think that's an important thing. So all women are welcome. Some other things we have going on here at the NJCPA, the Emerging Leaders Interest Group, and that's another group, you know, for those under age 40 who might want to get involved in. A lot of opportunity to actually network with your peers and to actually grow in a comfort zone. Well, anyways, the Emerging Leaders Group are sponsoring again this year. I think it's probably the 6th, 7th year they've been doing it, is a food drive. They're sponsoring it through November 16th. Last year we collected over 3,000 pounds of food, and they're looking to at least meet, if not exceed, this year. If you're listening to this out there, you can bring a donation to one of our dozens upcoming events. Any event that you go to, we'll take the food. Some of the firms also have drives going on within their firm, and I want to do a particular shout out to Mazars. They have the goal of filling one of their partners' offices completely with food, and they have challenged their peers to do the same in their respective offices. You can also sign up to volunteer to work at the Community Food Bank in Hillside on November 13th. So all NJCPA conferences can now offer a live stream option, so you can participate online if you actually cannot get to the actual conference and from the comfort of your home or your office. The list of upcoming conferences is on your screen. That concludes today's broadcast, and we thank you for tuning in. If you have a colleague who missed today's broadcast, we will be replaying it twice for CPE credit, October 3rd at 2 p.m., October 5th at 12 p.m. And our next edition of Issues Watch will take place on December 14th at 9 a.m. In the meantime, check njcpa.org, NJCPA Pulse, the open forum, and subscribe to Issues Watch podcast for all updates on the topics we discussed today and more. And one more thing I want to put a plug in, we actually have a blog that you can find on our website, and we offer you, each of you, the opportunity to actually write for that blog. Our members have been fabulous in writing on all types of topics so far. And last but not least, remember to follow each of us on Twitter. Have a great day.